All right, so let's start with 2 truths and a lie. What do you have for us this morning?
Yeah, we could do, let's see, one. Okay, first car I ever purchased was a stick shift. I was on a multi-million-dollar feature film set in Italy. And then I climbed on the Pyramid of Chichen Itza in Mexico.
Stick shift's a lie.
The easiest, most obvious one. I'll do the second one. The movie set.
So actually, the third one is a lie. I did not climb the pyramid. They kind of have a barriered off, so you can't really get on there. They'll probably kick you out before. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But I did have a stick shift. And then let me clarify, I was not in the feature film. I was just on the set, and it was an accident. We were just like strolling through Italy, and then pretty soon we realized we're on this giant film set, and there's a bunch of extras wearing like 70s clothing.
What movie was it?
So it's The First Omen. It actually hits theaters in April. So
No way.
Yeah, I know. We got to talking with some of the production crew, and they were nice enough to tell us what they were doing and what movie they were making. So it was really cool.
Did they keep your scene?
Right,
No.
there.
Yeah. No, it was right when they had just stopped filming and they started moving everything. So we were like walking through. It was really random and cool. Yeah.
How bizarre.
I know.
Okay. What was the car?
It was a Chevy Cobalt. It's a 2010 Chevy Cobalt. A little sedan. It was a stick shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I prefer stick shifts too. I had a Mazda 3 with a little stick shift for a while. It's my favorite car.
I didn't know how to drive a stick shift, and I was like, if I buy one, I'm gonna be like, I'm forced to learn.
Right, you have
So,
no
yeah.
choice.
Yeah, so I went with that one.
3 on the tree. 1967 Valiant.
Oh,
That
okay.
was my first car.
Good morning. It's season 3 of GI and a Cup of Joe. Thank you all for making seasons 1 and 2 a huge success. Again, I'm your co-host, Annie T.
And I am Justin C. It's pretty badass to hear all these stories of how everyday regular people with everyday regular struggles took a chance to better themselves with the opportunities in the United Army National Guard.
And they didn't just do it for themselves, they did it for their families, future, past, and present. Officially, I'm Sergeant First Class Annie Torres.
And I am Command Sergeant Major Justin Cole. We encourage everyone listening to dress right dress.
Which is like, share, and subscribe.
Today, we're talking to officially Specialist Marina Sandoval, but honestly, she's just Marina to us. Let's go back to high school. Where did you attend high school, and what kind of student were you?
So I'm born and raised in Nampa, so I went to Columbia High.
Another Columbia High. Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Castro is your recruiter.
He was.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. But I didn't get recruited straight out of high school. I just happened to still live in Nampa when I joined. But what kind of kid? I was not sporty. I was very involved in like student body stuff. So I was part of the group that was behind the brains of planning prom, setting up pep rallies, assemblies, doing all the fun stuff outside of school. I was doing that. I was also that kid that would visit elementary schools and teach about the harms of tobacco.
Really?
Yeah. So to this day, nicotine free. I've never smoked or done any tobacco in my life. So
Yeah, me too.
Me
yeah,
3.
it's a good habit
Whoa.
to have.
All right.
It
Look
is
at
a good
us.
habit.
Look
yeah.
at us go.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
The DARE program means something, man.
It does.
Yeah. Changes lives. For sure.
This is
One way or another.
such a commercial.
Yeah.
All right.
So what about your favorite subjects?
So I was in our broadcasting program. We had a really good
wow.
broadcasting thing. Yeah, Columbia was like really like performative forward. We had theater, good music classes, but I did broadcasting, so I really enjoyed video production. Audio is kind of where I really dove into. I like to. A lot of my projects, I try to involve any sort of video or audio recording that I could incorporate into it. So,
Do you still do that now? Like as a hobby?
As a hobby, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I've thought about doing it as a career. I've done one wedding and I absolutely hated it.
Oh.
It was fun. It was fun while I did it, but I wouldn't want to do it for a living. So,
Gotcha. What about favorite teachers? Anyone stand out to you?
Oh yeah, I had a handful. It was nice going to like that kind of school because it was set up to where you would have a lot of the same teachers all your 4 years. Mr. Yarbrough is probably the one that stands out the most. Anytime I see him to this day, I'll say hi. I think he's like the principal of Nampa High now or something like that.
I was going to say, I think
Yeah.
he's a principal because I remember
Yes.
that
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, so he was my history teacher, government teacher, and psychology teacher.
Nice.
And he
Wow.
is an amazing dude, yeah. Learned a lot from him. Super great. And then Mark Dion, who's the leadership advisor there, also teaches speech. He was also my favorite too. I TA'd for him for a little bit and got to know him pretty well. I actually saw him a couple weeks ago because we had a lunch visit at Columbia, and I went and said hi and was telling him that I'm going to help recruit now for a little bit, and he was like super excited about it. So
That's so cool. What year did you graduate?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
We forgot to ask Jatea what year she graduated.
Yeah, well, I think 7 years ago, she said. So whatever that is, 2017?
I don't math.
Oh yeah, she's a bit younger than me.
Yeah. Well, so
Only girl math.
we're really short into this podcast already, and let's just recap.
Yeah.
World traveler, right?
I got that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Production, politics, beer.
Oh yes.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure we're tracking.
Yeah.
What was your trip to Italy about?
So it was like my sister's 30th birthday trip. We flew into Spain, stayed in Madrid for a few days, and then we went to Italy, did Rome, and did the Amalfi Coast, and then we went to Germany and went to Munich, and that was super fun.
How awesome.
And it was just to go and visit and learn. It was the first time I was in Europe, so it was super cool to go and get to experience all that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So off topic, what's one thing about Europe that you believed before you went and it was totally destroyed when you got there?
I didn't believe, actually, that the water wasn't free. The water's not free. Like, if you want to get water at any restaurant or establishment, you have to pay for the water. So they do have, like, a free, like, water, like, fountains throughout some places.
Yeah.
But if you, like, got sat down at a restaurant, the water is not free. Like, they will not just bring you free water. Yeah.
Really?
That was
I
one
didn't
thing
know
that...
that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't believe it. And then you get there and sure enough, yep, it's like €2 for water. And it's like, okay. And you have to, like, you've
What
been
choice
drinking.
do you have?
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, yeah, why not?
Thinking back to your senior year, what kind of path did you have set out for yourself at 17, 18 years old?
I thought of college. So I did end up going to BSU for a couple years. I went for a comm degree. While I was going, I kind of used up the scholarships and money I had saved up for it. And the moment I started paying out of pocket, I was like, I'm not sure if this is exactly what I want to be doing before I start fully investing into it. So I dropped it for a bit, and then I went straight into sales, and I did sales for about 5 years. And I enjoyed that for the most part, which I didn't think I would, but I do enjoy working with people and like customer service.
retail?
Yes, like
Okay.
retail, yeah. So I did that for 5 years until COVID hit, and then hours got cut. And that's kind of when I started being like, well, I'm kind of a little burnt out of it anyways. I'm going to go see if there's something else to do. So I quit my job, and I went to go be a ranch hand for a couple seasons. So that was fun.
Where at?
I had a friend who owned a ranch in Eastern Oregon.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I went over there and I worked for them for about a year or so. And that was really cool because they had cattle, they farmed, they did the whole thing. I was like, it was a whole different world that I was
I
not.
bet.
Yeah. I know I was born and raised in Idaho, but I did not know anything about agriculture. And the more I learned, the more I was like, wow, I had no idea this is even a thing. It was really fun, and it was really cool to experience.
So what brought you back to Idaho after that?
So the Guard.
No.
Yeah. So during this time, I think I was at home one day and we had like a barbecue, and my brother-in-law was a pilot for the Idaho National Guard. So he flew Flyhawks with us. And then he kind of just randomly pitched this weird idea that I'd join and do flight ops and go drill with him, and it'd be super fun and just something to do. And I was like, I got nothing else going on right now. Like, why not? And then, the next thing I know, I'm talking to Castro, the recruiter, and I'm joining.
Let's talk about basic training.
Yeah.
Okay. Basic training experience. What was it like for you? And any words of wisdom that maybe a drill sergeant bestowed upon you that you would like to share?
It was interesting. It sucked, as it's supposed to. I think the hardest part about it was probably like the isolation. Being an adult, I was 26 when I went through basic training. So being 26, I'm already used to like my own car, my own world, my own life. I'm already independent. So being put into basic training and with that mentality was the most frustrating thing, because all that's kind of stripped away from you and you're just like every minute of your life is controlled. But it was an experience, and the whole time I'm like, just trust the process. But it was cool. I went in the fall, winter, so I was away from the heat a little bit because it is in the south. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. It was a little more comfortable than I've heard other stories.
What training base were you at?
I went to Fort Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was cool. I did get the luxury of going home over Christmas, so it was pretty easy. Thankfully, I looking back, it was like, it wasn't too bad, but going through it and thinking of like certain days, I'm like, yeah, it did. It was a little rough, but I don't know. I'm glad I did it. I don't think I would ever do it again, but I do not regret doing it whatsoever. And I've enjoyed it so far. I get excited for drill. I get excited to do that job. So I really like it.
So for drill, what do you do for flight ops?
So we do flight following with all the pilots, make sure all the gear's up to check, the birds are fueled up, and then we're constantly just on radios and communications. We're keeping tabs on weather, making sure everything's looking good. And then if at any point anything goes wrong, we're the first point of contact for them. So we're always just on standby alert for anything to go down.
Like extreme multitasking.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of downtime, but then when it's not downtime, it's super like busy and like
Feast or famine.
exactly. Yeah.
But at least you're doing your MOS, right?
Right.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
That is true. I do love that.
Nothing from a drill sergeant? There's no drill sergeant that stood out to you that you want to give a shout out to?
So the first two phases, we had this really old school drill sergeant screaming in your face. Every other word's a cuss word. And he was just rough, like left no room for fun, just discipline. And then at some point in the cycle, like before the last phase, we got someone outranked him and ended up being our first sergeant or our senior drill sergeant. And it was his first cycle ever being a drill sergeant. So he really, and then he's like, oh, and they're in the last phase, or we're supposed to be really easy with them. So he was a 180, super lax guy. I think he even snuck us some candy at some point. Like, he was really nice. So I feel like I got like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing that super stuck out to me. By the end of it, you're really like just thankful for them sticking through it, because it's like, even though we're going through it as trainees, they're also right there with you the whole time. So it's a lot of props to them for sure.
And you said you were 26 when you went through?
Yeah.
So did you feel like that you were a mentor to any of those younger kids that went through? Were you put in those positions?
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah.
And then you could tell that the drill sergeants too notice you're a little bit of the older, more mature person in the crowd. So they do kind of leave you alone a little bit more, but then they also expect you to kind of be an example and discipline them.
Fix that.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'd like to note as well too that candy and blue phase is not a thing.
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, it's not a thing. Yeah.
Just in case.
That's important.
Yeah.
What do you think your greatest accomplishment has been to date in your eyes?
I would just say being able to travel and being in a position where I have that ability is an accomplishment for me, because I never thought I would be able to. Thankfully, I'm like single. I have pretty like sustainable income, and it's enough for me to like, I can get up and go on a weekend trip if I want to, and I have no stress over the finances or anything like that. I would say that's good. And even just being in the military, it's something I never thought, like going back to what kind of high school kid I was not someone you would ever think would be joining or even thinking of doing anything military related. So the fact that I'm here and doing it is a pretty big accomplishment too. I've enjoyed it so far. It's been such a good thing. I didn't expect it to be what it is or enjoy it as much as I have. So I'm thankful for that all the time.
You're going to have to step back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So 17, 18-year-old, what advice would you give to that high school student that's worried about their future?
I would say, life's going to throw things at you whether you expect it or not. So my biggest advice is to be open to change. I think the hardest times in my life was when I was closed off and like stubborn to trying new things or accepting new changes. And if you just allow and like open up and say, okay, we're doing this now, and just become more susceptible to it, life just gets easy. And just don't take anything too seriously. I do understand thinking about your future is like such a big thing, and especially in high school, it's like all you talk about your junior and senior years. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And it is important to think about it, but like breathe. It's okay. Life's just gonna come, and you're just gonna just do it.
So, introvert or extrovert? What would you classify yourself as?
I would say extrovert for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, you're totally comfortable communicating.
Oh, thank you.
So this is my question. This is the most important question I feel.
Let's hear it.
Is Sasquatch real?
Oh yeah, I've seen him.
What?
Yeah.
You have a story?
I know. I do believe Sasquatch is real. I have not seen him. That was a lie. But I do believe he's real. He's out there.
You will see him someday.
Oh, yeah. Pacific Northwest.
Oh yes.
There's been some sightings. It's happened.
There's been a ton.
Yeah.
Well, we are out of time for today. Join us next Wednesday for another episode of GI and a Cup of Joe.
As we said in the beginning of the podcast, please dress right dress and enjoy your week.